All right. Hey guys, I hope that everybody is doing great today. My name is Natalia and I'm an educator with the Cincinnati Observatory. Now, you may recognize me if you watched our last video where we used Mitaka to take a tour of the universe, and we are using Mitaka again today, but this time we are using it to look a little bit closer at some stuff inside of the solar system. Now, in case you did not watch our last video, which was a tour of the universe, Mitaka is a computer app that we can use to look out at stuff in outer space. In case you are interested in downloading this for yourself, it is free. It is spelled M-I-T-A-K-A. All right, so go ahead and get inside of your imaginary spaceships and let's get started. All right, so we are going to zoom off of the surface of Earth because we are headed for the center of the solar system. So in case you did not watch our last video where we used Mitaka, every single line that you see, every circle that you see represents one thing in space orbiting around something else in space. And so what you're looking at right now is a lot of the planets and some of the other things in space orbiting around the sun. And so since we are in the center of the solar system now, I think that it is time for us to talk about what is actually inside of the solar system. And so we have one star in the solar system, and that is the sun, and then we have 8 planets that go around that star. We have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And we'll talk about some of those a little bit more in a few minutes, but then here in the solar system, not only do we have planets, but we also have space rocks. And so some of those space rocks are asteroids, which hang out in the asteroid belt, and there are about 800,000 of those. And then we also have comets, which hang out at the very outside edge of the solar system in a place called the Oort cloud. All right, here are some of those comets. Now, we don't know exactly how many of those there are because they're pretty far away from us and are kind of small compared to planets, which makes them a little difficult to count. And then, of course, we also have dwarf planets, and we have about 1,000 of those in the solar system. And then, last of all, we have moons, and we have more than 200 moons inside of our solar system. But let's go ahead and start off by zooming in a little bit closer to a planet. How about Mars? Let's go take a look at Mars. So one of the great things about Mitaka is that it lets you zoom in and look at things a little bit closer. So let's start off by looking at Mars. Here we are. Okay, so Mars is kind of special to us here on Earth because it is one of the closest planets to us, and it is also the next place that we are hoping to go in outer space with astronauts. And so NASA is hoping to send astronauts to Mars as soon as the 2030s, which is only 10 years from now, which is very, very exciting. Now, one of the challenges that is presented with us trying to go to Mars is the amount of time that it takes, because you cannot just send a shuttle to Mars at any old time. You have to wait until Mars and Earth are at their closest point to each other, and then you send your space shuttle. And so that actually only happens once every 2 years. And so you have about a week-long window every 2 years that you can send a shuttle, that you would be able to send astronauts. And then after that 2-year waiting period, then you have almost a whole nother year that it takes to get to Mars. And so it takes about 2.5 years, the entire process. So the challenge that presents is that if we had astronauts on Mars, if they ran out of any supplies sooner than they expected, or if they ran into any sort of problems where they needed help, it would be more than 2 years before they would be able to get those supplies and get that help that they needed. But I'm sure that is a challenge that we will solve very soon. All right, so how about let's go take a quick look at Saturn. All right, so Saturn is a very well-known planet for its rings, its big, beautiful rings. However, Saturn is actually not the only planet in the solar system that has rings. Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune, all of the other gas giants, have rings as well. However, what is special about Saturn's rings is that they are much larger and much easier to see from Earth. Even the smallest telescopes on Earth can see Saturn's rings. And so it has these very big, beautiful rings, but it is also special because it has the most moons of any planet in the solar system, at least as far as we know right now. So Saturn has 82 moons, and that's some of the things that you're looking at right now is the orbit of some of its moons around it. That's what all of these little lines are. And so what's kind of cool about this is that scientists discovered 20 of these moons all at the same time back in October of 2019. And so we are discovering new moons and new things in our solar system all the time, which is pretty awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at one of these moons. How about we're going to take a look at Jupiter's moon Europa. Now, the reason that we're taking a look at this moon is that this is one of the many moons that scientists are keeping an eye on because there is the possibility of water on this moon. And wherever there is water, there is the potential for life. And so Europa is thought to have oceans even deeper than the oceans on Earth beneath this icy surface here. And so that always leaves the possibility that Europa or one of the other moons around Jupiter and Saturn that is thought to have water could have living creatures on it. Now, we don't know for sure whether this could be, and you would think, especially with Europa, that it's so far away from the sun that it would be way too cold to be able to have life on it. However, there is some thermal activity going on at the center of Europa that may make the oceans warm enough to be able to have life, which is pretty exciting. All right, so let's take a quick look at a dwarf planet. How about, let's go see the most famous of all of the dwarf planets, Pluto. Here we go. All right, so here we have Pluto, and Pluto, as we all know, used to be considered a regular planet, and then it got demoted to a dwarf planet because they realized that there were many, many other planets, about 1,000 other planets, that were very similar to Pluto in all the ways that it was different from the rest of the planets. Now, part of this has to do with the orbit, how Pluto's orbit is different from all of the orbits of the other planets, but it is also quite a bit smaller than all of the other planets. Pluto is so small that it is even smaller than our moon is on Earth. And so Pluto is very, very tiny. However, despite its size, it still manages to have 5 moons going around it, which is pretty awesome. But let's go ahead and wrap up by taking a look at an asteroid. So I will warn you, it's going to take us a minute to get to this asteroid because asteroids are much, much smaller than dwarf planets and regular planets, and so it's kind of a journey for us to actually get to this asteroid. Now, asteroids, there we go, here it is. Asteroids are made mostly out of rock and metal, and as we know, they mostly hang out in the asteroid belt, though they do occasionally orbit in other places in the solar system, but this is what an asteroid looks like. And asteroids can be many, many different sizes. They can be as big as hundreds of miles wide, and they can be as small as just 6 feet wide. And so there's a really huge range in the sizes of asteroids. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today to take a closer look at our solar system. Now we're going to be coming out with some more videos where we spend time in Mitaka. Keep an eye out for those. In case you are interested in anything else that the Cincinnati Observatory is doing, go ahead and check out our website at cincinnatiobservatory.org. Have a good day.